G'day, punters. We are back for another episode of the Leg Up podcast. I know this intro isn't as good as the one as Sam Wood would have done, but he's not here today, Paddy.
I know the big fella. He's poor bugger's got a funeral on, but we won't dwell too much on that. We'll wish him all our best and his family, and I guess we'll press on, mate, and hopefully try and have a good show without the big fella.
Yeah, condolences, but you know what I reckon? I reckon he's actually snuck off to the Bool.
The Bool. Do you know what? He actually has said to me, I reckon, 2 or 3 times this week when I've spoken to him. He's given me the old, and I reckon it happens every year, we should go to the Bool.
I definitely agree with him. It's one place that I think it's my number one place that I would like to go to, like on a racing calendar. And I haven't been to a Melbourne Cup.
How have you not been to a Melbourne Cup? I know this.
You didn't know that?
I do know this. I know this. I reckon I say it every time. How haven't you been to a Melbourne Cup?
What cup have you been to?
All of them. Every cup except the Caulfield Cup.
No, but I mean, like, what Melbourne Cup did you go to?
Delta Blues.
Delta Blues. And Pop Rock fought out the finish.
I've been to a few, but the Delta Blues one stands out the most because I backed it.
Yep,
yeah, mate, nice. I'd be keen as mustard to go get up on the hill at Warrnambool and just perch there for the day and just become a jumps race aficionado and act like I know everything about another sport.
It's 3 days. How do you think? How do you think you'd hold up? Actually, you hold up pretty well.
Oh no, yeah, the big fella, he probably holds up better. I get cast. I get very cast, but I've been reading some stuff on Twitter about sneaking away early so you can last the 3 days, but that 3 days is a proper Bucks party footy trip sort of trip.
It's a real go as well because they like the first race usually kicks off at like 11:10 or something like that, and then they go into the night.
Hildo had already rang me complaining that he backed a loser today. I think at about 10:30 in the morning. Where are you betting at? Somerset Park.
The Bool. What about Rick McIntosh? Did you get on the market that Sportsbet put up on Rick? They gave even money on Rick saying, seriously, how bloody good is the Bool in the Grand Annual call?
Can you give us a seriously how bloody good is the Bool like Rick McIntosh?
Seriously, how bloody good is the Bool?
No, he's usually out of voice. Seriously, how good is the Bool?
That's pretty good.
They fight it out.
He actually made the punters sweat though. He made the punters sweat because he waited until about, I reckon, 50 to 100 meters into the race to get it out. So the punters who took the even money had a little bit of a sweat.
I know that I know a few punters that actually took the even money. It was a donation by Sportsbet, really, like as if he was ever going to not say it.
I reckon just as much as well. But I went to go and put it on, and they knocked me back. Sportsbet. They said my account's not eligible for these promotions. Well, it has been a rough trot on the punt, so I had to get something back. Had to try to get something back.
John, the account manager, can I have 5,000 on Rick McIntosh to say how bloody good is the Bool? Yeah. No, Blake.
Surely someone tweeted him. Surely he knew about that market.
He's probably on, but it was only a small sherbet that you could have on it. I think
probably $50. Double your money, not bad.
Probably 25 a max bet, but how bloody good is he? His calling reminds me a bit of Ray Warren in State of Origin.
He does love it. He does love it. I have listened to a few interviews with Rick McIntosh, and he seems like a really genuinely good bloke.
Yeah, he doesn't. You know, some people you can tell they're putting it on. It doesn't look like he's putting it on for the punters. He does it because he loves it, and he calls it like that because he loves it. Which is
100%. Absolutely
even
loves
better because you can feel the passion. Someone sent me one of his calls this week where I think is it Wilds had fought back and won?
Yeah, Simon Wild. I think he trained like 5 winners on the second day or something.
Yeah, got the goosebumps going when he called it getting off the floor and winning.
It was pretty good. Like there was a few, like most of the jumps races were within the taking in the final furlong. Like they weren't like 8-length margins or anything like that. They were real close affairs.
You a jumps fan?
Yeah, jumps fan, 100%. I love it, but I would say, here's the question: is jumps racing around in 5 years?
100%. you know what? The do-gooders, they can take our sugar out of our soft drinks. They can take our cigarettes away, me and Nash. They can even put the labels on our beer for pregnant women, but they won't take our jumps racing.
They're not going to take the Bool.
There's no way. Adelaide have let him take it because apparently the prayers, or too many prayers in churches and all that sort of stuff. And
what is the single churches?
The prayers were answered, but there's no way. Taking jumps racing off the Bool would be like, I don't know.
Taking greyhound racing off New South Wales? That didn't last very long.
Yeah, how good did that premier go? He hung around for a long time after that. See you later.
Yeah,
I'm going to the Greyhounds on Saturday night. It's $1 million chance.
Yeah, $1 million. I actually did see that. Couldn't tell you
one.
one.
Tuxedo.
Yeah, can you put your tips on tips and slips for that meeting, please? Get the mug to put his tips on there as well.
I'll put them up. I'll be on fire. You know what I said, Mug? I'm going to the Greyhounds. He goes, you must have free ticket.
You're going to have a few sherbets?
I'm going to have a few sherbets. I made a go in courtesy of a special guest, the race caller. He's getting us out there, Matty Jackson.
Is he?
He's said he's putting us up in some VIP room, supposedly, allegedly.
Do you know Matty Jackson?
Yeah, you wouldn't believe it. His wife ended up in my wife's mother's group when they had the kids.
Oh, that's pretty cool. He's from Melbourne, isn't he? Did he used to live in Melbourne?
He's from Albury or somewhere small. Echuca.
Yeah, maybe down there, the border, somewhere on the border up there.
Echuca. It's the middle of nowhere.
They do have a racecourse there.
They do, but name 5 places that don't have racecourses in Australia.
Well,
cannot.
But
yeah, it should be interesting, mate. I haven't been to the Dogs for, I reckon, 20 years, and I've only been once in my whole life.
I've actually been to the Dogs a few times. I haven't been for a long time. Yeah.
Was Cambo a dog trainer at some point?
No. Mitch Price is a dog trainer.
Okay.
Remember my friend Mitch Price? Yeah. He's a dog trainer. He's still got a fair few dogs. The dogs that go around with the name Despicable, that's him.
Yep, keen on it. He's got a heap of dogs, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. He keeps sending me bet slips. He sends me bet slips of winning dog bets, and then he never sends the tip through beforehand, which is not very good.
What a dog.
I know, it's not good. I'll actually flick you some of these bet slips in my in the chat, but they're, let's say, very big.
I know that the group's called Tips and Slips, but I would prefer tips, not slips.
Definitely, me too.
Especially if it results in a big one, because that just makes you feel like shit. Makes you feel like I missed something if he's won the guts of 10K.
Well, it's that, and it's that and a little bit more, I'd suggest.
Shit.
Ask me about the beer from last week.
The beer from last week. Oh, mate, what about Hecker's beer? How'd it go down?
Yeah, well, Hecker's beer was probably the worst beer I have ever experienced in my life. And that wasn't because I'm not judging it based on taste. I put it on the floor of the passenger side car on the way home, and it was rolling about a little bit, and I think it got a little bit shaken up, and as I got into my driveway, it burst and beer went all over the car. So
you're kidding.
I didn't get to taste it, and spent an hour soaking it up with paper towels afterwards. So it cost me an hour, and I didn't even get to taste it.
Mate, spilt hot beer. There is no worse a smell.
I know. It smells like bread now, I reckon.
Bread? It smells like being hungover.
Yeah, well, the car, it needs to go for a wash very soon. But Heckers, send me some more. I think that's an amateur mistake putting it on the floor of the car, because I didn't even think about it. That's amateur hour over here.
Do you think Heckers and Woodhead might have stitched you up and given you like an exploding beer bottle, like one of the exploding golf balls?
Maybe it was a stitch up.
Classic.
Maybe it was a stitch up. But Heckers, your beer, Can't be serious. What's your you can't be serious this week, Patrick?
Oh, you cannot be serious. The Marin Useless stable. What is doing there? Let me paint a picture for you, mate. They're sitting around. They've just worked the guts of 40 million bucks worth of horses. Kieran Maher goes, oh, Useless, go up, get us a case of beer. Let's have a beer. Oh, you bought mid-strengths, Useless. That's useless. They crack a beer and they go, geez, how good's Queensland going to be? We've got all those horses entered up in Queensland in the big races. They're just entered in there. So cheap to enter them too. And then Useless turns to Maher and goes, did you enter him? And Maher goes, no, mate, I've been getting a haircut. And they look at each other and go, shit, we've forgotten to, hang on. Call Aussie Joe at the Sydney stables, who is actually French. Find out if he entered them. They go, Joe, did you enter them all? And he goes, no, mate, I only entered Generation because I had the futures bet. They entered one horse because the Sydney stable, whoever runs it, I think his name is Frenchman Joe. I don't know if I was allowed to say his name either. That's sort of that was from an insider, but he has clearly had a futures bet. Allegedly, obviously I don't know that, and I don't know if that's legal or not, but they have only entered one horse in the major races in Brisbane. I mean, accepted with it. And now they're stuck going to have to pay all the late entrance fees for all their horses up there.
They do have a lot of horses to worry about. So, and it was, I think, one day before the Bool started. So maybe they were just a little bit excited, Pat.
Well, if anything, we've all learned one valuable lesson out of this whole experience. That the Brisbane Race Club hates the Marin Eustace stable, because why wouldn't they ring them? It's 1 minute till the deadline closes. They've got 4,000 horses, 50 million bucks worth of horses altogether. They haven't received a single nom. Trevor turns around and goes, should we ring him? No, don't ring him.
You would think so. You would think so. Like, I'm not sure what horses they would have been planning to take there, but you'd think the horse that's favoured in the South Australian Derby, Detonator Jack, he possibly would have been going for the Queensland Derby. What race is Generation in? Do you know?
10,000, I think.
The Doomben 10,000, because that might be a little bit of a tip in itself, Pat.
Well, I think it's more that obviously the Frenchman that's running the stable has a futures bet, so he wasn't letting one miss out. And so he just filled out the form for one of them.
Maybe it's the Stradbroke. I'm just going to have a look, because he'd be well placed in a Stradbroke, but maybe it's not. Hang on. I'll get back to you on that.
That is absolutely Eustace. I can't believe it.
Well, if they're gonna cover the fees for the owners, then good on them. They've got enough money too.
But what I learned from this is that it's a company that they work for, so they've got a board to answer to, and it's a pretty crazy thought that they just forgot. I'm sure there's racing managers, and
you'd think that with all the staff that they have, they would have had one person say, hey, did you guys enter the horses for Queensland?
I didn't. I think Aussie Joe did.
Maybe they're just going to send them all out for a couple of months, bring them back for the spring.
Brisbane Race Club, classic. Don't tell them.
It's all about to start happening in Queensland as well with the Hollindale Stakes this weekend, Pat. Should we get stuck into it?
Looks very nice up there, mate. I think I've done 2 races up there in Goldie.
Okay. Well,
no, just the one.
Just the one.
No, just the one.
He looks hard to beat, this horse, doesn't he, Zaaki? He's been well supported. Tab went up $1.80. Great houses come out of the race that wouldn't equate to any deductions, but $1.80 into $1.60. Does he just win, Pat?
No way in the world. I'm tipping against him.
You're tipping against him. $1.60.
I'm going against. I've had enough of this horse, Zaaki. I'm going for the up-and-coming horse. The horse that they said first up probably wouldn't win, and it got a few of the punters offside when they interviewed the trainer before the race, and he said probably needs the run in Ayrton.
Yeah.
Comes out and just absolutely flogs them. Got the run of the race, though, so you can sort of understand how it did it with the class. But looked very good winning that race, and I can definitely see it kicking on from here. I know it's up in distance, up in weight, but you know what? I'm bloody sick of Zaaki.
Mick Price did say that. I guess that's a little bit of white noise. Like that annoyed me that I listened to what he had to say with Ayrton first up, because if he was at his best, not even at his best, he could have been a couple of lengths off his best and still won that race. And the market was against him. That betting race was really interesting, actually, because I think he went up really short, maybe like even money, something around that number. And then they opposed him. He got out to $3.50. And I think that was like 5 minutes before the race. And then I guess the pros just said, that's enough, and truckloaded him back into $2.80. And he was really good. I know that was a terrific ride, as you said by Jamie Carr, getting the soft run in behind him, gap open. He sprinted for 250 meters and he was too good for them. But Mick Price has always said that he was going to be a Cox Plate horse. So the step up in trip against the last year Cox Plate favourite, I think Zaaki was $2.10 before they took him out of the Cox Plate on the morning of the race. So it'll be a good test for him, Pat.
What a Cox Plate, though, to look back on if Zaaki was in it. Even like the story around it getting scratched and then the protests, and that would have been some sort of race if it made it into there. But yeah, I guess it's going to be a tough ask for any of these horses in this race to beat Zaaki. And, you know, it's been up there and it's done it up there at this track. So it's going to be tough, but F Zaaki. Come on, Ayrton. Bring it home.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm with Zaaki. I think he's about the right price. I think $1.60. I think that's probably his number at the moment. He's not the same horse. He'll never reproduce what he did in the Doomben Cup.
So is it Rising 8 or is it European-born Zaaki?
He's European-born, but yeah, he's Rising 8 in Australia. So yeah,
I guess on the younger
he's
side,
very lightly raced though. So I wouldn't think that 7 or I think he's the deserved Cox Plate favourite, and like what he's done this preparation suggests that he is probably the premier weight for age horse in Australia. I think he had that Queen Elizabeth Stakes shot to pieces, but it just took a terrific ride from Nash to get over the top of him.
Well, if Ayrton beats Zaaki this week, I predicted Count de Rupee to beat Rothfire last week. Could I be the King of the North if Ayrton does triumph here?
You will be the King of the North.
Okay, that's good. Let's make these statements while Woodhead isn't here.
Okay. Well, let's head over to Adelaide for the only Group 1 of this weekend. The Sangster Stakes, Morfordville Race 8.
Before we roll into Morfordville Race 8, can we roll into Race 7 there?
Yeah, Morfordville Race 7. Without Woodhead, we can do whatever we bloody like.
We can go anywhere.
Morfordville Race 7. The DC Mackay Stakes. Behemoth, $3.60 with Sportsbet. He's the current favourite. Bit of money for Ironclad, $7 into $5.50 with Sportsbet. Dexalation, trimmed up a little bit, 9 into 7. What do you like, Pat?
Fair little sprint race, this. And I don't know, this reminds me of last prep when Behemoth had the wood over Bo Rossa, but was only sort of getting past it by half length to a head. Mate, 62 kilos is a lot of weight. I know short distances and weight and blah, blah. I've said it before, but I've been proved wrong, and I'm on Bo Rossa's side here. Twofold. I did the form. I selected Bo Rossa, and then my brother-in-law, my wife's sister had a baby this morning.
Yeah, and then they named him Bo?
They named him Bo Rossa.
Is that serious?
They named him Bo.
I would have liked the name Bo Rossa, but that would have been incredible.
So I thought, geez, if that's not a sign from God, then I don't know what is. Because I think Bo Rossa with the 4 kilo weight turn, mate, the little bit of sign from God on my side. This could, it's a nice horse too. Good sprinter. Loves the 1100 meters. I think it's a great price at $5 too.
Oh, $5.10. Best available with our friends at Boombet. If you haven't got an account yet, sign up. But I have no idea on that race, so I'll go with you there on Bo Rossa, mate. Like the little tip. Let's move on to the Group 1. Race 8, the Robert Sangster Stakes. It's a cracking race for the mares. Current favourite is September Run, $4.80. Best available with Tab. Bella Nipotina coming off that good win in Sydney with James McDonald on board. $6.10. Best available with Boombet. So what do we got? $4.80 the field. September Run at the top of the market. What do you like, Pat?
Mate, there's a lot in here that you've tipped before in Sydney. There's a lot of they've been good bets for you. Snap Dancer. I think Bella Nip you tipped before.
I know there's a few horses that have been good to me.
I'm happy to let you fly out of the gates here, mate, and give us the heads up on this race.
All right, I'm going to have something small on one of my old favourites, Snap Dancer. I think she's over the odds. I know she's drawn really poorly, but she can get back. We can forgive her for that. We can forgive her for that effort in the new market. She was 28 days between runs. Down the straight just might not have suited her, and there was plenty of horses in the market there that went poorly. She was a mile too good for them in the Magic Millions. That was over 1,300 meters, and then she came back in trip to Sydney, and she was too good for a subsequent Group 1 winner and Promise of Success. So at her best, she's definitely good enough to win this race. She's well suited under the conditions of the race. And yeah, Pat, I think $14 is a little bit of value about her.
And I'm going value in this race too, actually.
All right, give it to me.
I think Instant Celebrity. It's following the exact same path as last year, same first up run where you would say it's unlucky, and heading straight into the Group 1 here over 1,200 meters. I think it probably the 1,100 meters that it's gone first up this year and first up it did last year as well is probably a bit short of its best. I think it probably goes better out towards closer to that 1,400 meters sprinting distance. So the 1,200 should suit it down to a T. Trainers find their paths and just keep taking them. So I guess Philip Stokesy's decided to go the same path as last year. And I think if anything, its first up run this year was better than last year. And I think at $13 is just juicy value.
Old Stokesy boy.
Instant Celebrity. I think Stokesy's onto something here.
And the main man, Daniel Moore, he's in absolute fine form.
Give me more. But that first up, up run, there was suited a leader's track when Bella Vella led the entirety. So I thought it was a good run from Instant Celebrity coming from behind. I think it snuck up the inside fence there, so just couldn't reel it in. But yeah, I always think that the 1,100 meters for Instant Celebrity is probably a bit too zippy for it, considering it's a run-on horse. And I reckon this race is just on a plate for it. $13, couldn't believe it.
Ooh, yeah, well, I wouldn't say no. And Daniel Moore could absolutely win on a broomstick at the moment. Let's head down to Sydney. We're heading up the coast for the race that's named just that. For the 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds, the coast, worth $500,000, 1,600 meters. Current favourite is Our Playboy. He loves getting his toe in the ground. He's going to get a track conditions to suit. 1,600 meters is right up his alley. Dire Mill, the horse for John O'Shea that disappointed punters last start. He's $5.10, best available with Boombet. What do you like in the coast, Pat?
I actually tried to get a celebrity from the coast to come on the show today, but he was too busy. He was, I said, mate, why can't you come on the show today, Hildo? You're pretty much the mayor of the coast. It's a lot of preparation goes into this meeting. I've got to start lining my stomach with milk and bread, and yes, I've got a big 2 days ahead. I've got the lunch at the Joker tomorrow, which is always a bender, and then all up the races. So he said he just couldn't make it. It was too big of ask to add the show on, and
The mare's got
Which is
plenty going
unfortunate.
on. Plenty going on for him.
Unfortunate considering he'd just backed a loser at the Bool at 10 a.m. and couldn't fulfill his commitments on the show with us today. But it would have been good to get a bit of insider information on Gosford up there. Apparently, it's a great meeting, and the locals really get behind it. I'd actually like to get up there for one of them. I nearly went this year, but just had to go to the $1 million chase. I couldn't knock it back.
Well, it's worth $1 million. This race is only worth $500,000. So
I had to get down to the dogs.
I know which one I'd choose.
My people. Which one are you going to?
Oh, I'd be going the coast for sure. But at some stage, we'll get there, mate. We'll get there. We'll sponsor this race one day, I'm sure.
I reckon you'd be a bit of a celebrity at the Joker and the Thief, actually.
You think so? I've been there once. I went there with Hildo once. It was quite nice.
Hildo's like the Fonz walking into the place, isn't he?
Oh, yeah. Everybody knows Hildo. I think they laid out the red carpet for us when we turned up.
Did they?
They did.
Hildo, your usual rum and milk.
We don't really need we don't need him on the show because I reckon he would have tipped Maurice as my dad anyway. That's my guess. What he would have tipped.
Yeah. Puts his finger on the page and goes down and finds Bjorn Baker. Yeah. What's Bjorn got? Oh, hang on. What's any other trainer that I've worked for? Matt Smith. What's Smithy got? No runner. But yeah, mate, for me, this race, it's all about our Playboy. The big weights, I get it. Up in weight, up in distance, not ideal, but it's beat Kerwin's Lane. It's run Mr. Mozart to a length. It's the other good horse that run behind. Its name eludes me, but it's won since. So I think I did not expect it to get to where it's got to this preparation, but it's flying. So I've got our Playboy on top here.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue. It's a good chance for him to race for $500,000 because he's probably just a couple of lengths behind the top notches, but he's lightly raced, and I think he's headed to Queensland after this as well. So he might be able to win this on the way. I reckon there's a bit of a setup here. I reckon Old Flame's ready to win, Pat. $9.50 available. He had a couple of trials in Sydney, and then Peter and Paul Snowden took him down to Melbourne to avoid very wet surfaces. I don't think we're going to be on a very wet surface here. I think we'll get into the soft
It's going to be wet.
It's going to be wet?
It pissed down last night.
Well, you don't live in Gosford.
I'm close, though. I'm an hour away. See, this is where we needed the insider information.
We did. That would have been handy. It says currently now, Gosford on Thursday, showers. Friday, sunny and 20 degrees. Saturday, sunny and 20 degrees. So I reckon we're going to get into the soft range.
Oh, it's optimistic. I like it. I like the optimism.
There's enough time between a little bit of rain and the races going around on Saturday. But yeah, Old Flame, he trialled a couple of times in Sydney and then they took him down to Melbourne. He won first up and then last start, he travelled 3 deep without cover, staying at 1,400 metres. And he had the best last 200 metres of the race. Now he steps up to a mile. Blinkers go on. I reckon it might be a little setup from the grand final trainers in Peter and Paul Snowden.
They do love to bring them along slow, the Snowdens, don't they? They're special for stuff like this.
They do. So, yep, I'm with Old Flame. I think he's going to be hard to beat, and I think he starts a little bit shorter than that $9.50. All right, let's move on to our $100 strategies. How did you go last week?
I bet every other horse I tipped on the show, I bet except Count the Rupee. So I lost.
Nice. So you lost $100. I lost $100 too. So we're in the same boat. We're in the losers category. We are in the losers category. So hopefully we can get back in the winner's stall. So you're currently sitting at 293. You're still in the positive, and I'm sitting at 890. So I'm still in the positive. Give me your $100 strategy for this week, Pat.
What's Woodhead at?
He's at minus 3,074.
I think we haven't even bet for that many weeks, have we?
Well, he's been getting he's been borrowing to try to get it back. So I've multiplied him a little bit.
He's on the multiplier.
Yeah, yes, he's on the tab multiplier.
All right. I've got a couple. I've got a couple. Here we go. Geez, that's lucky. I took Honey Creeper. Where did Honey Creeper go? Why did it come out of the Golden Brace?
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't looked into that yet, but I was keen to follow her going to Brisbane, but I'm not sure why she came out.
I thought it was a great chance against. I thought Gypsy Goddess was sort of a bit dour last start and comes back in distance. So I think it might be a bit soft there, but well, it's not going in anyway. Do you know what? I'm sticking with our Playboy race, Sydney race 9, number 1, $50 a win at $5.60.
Yep, 50, our Playboy.
Yep. I'm going to go Adelaide race 7, number 4, 30 a win, Bo Rossa at $5.
Yep.
And Adelaide race 8, number 3, Instant Celebrity, 20 win at $13.
20 on Instant Celebrity. Easy. That's $100. Well spent. I reckon you're getting back into. I reckon you're getting back into the winner's stall this week.
Got it, mate. It's a lot. It's averages.
Yeah, no doubt.
I was due for a couple of losses.
It's the Jufa factor.
What do you got for us, mate?
I'm also on the Jufa factor. I'm going to be having $43 on Elias. This horse is dual acceptor. So I'm running the gauntlet on the fact that he goes to Gosford on Saturday and not Wagga on Friday. But on Saturday, I think he is. No, he's just come out. That's the worst news.
You're pretty partial to a scratching, and unfortunately, because you already said it, I'm going to have to hold you to it.
Okay, Gosford. No, we'll get it back. He's literally come out whilst we've been on the show, which is annoying. But that's okay. Onwards and upwards. So I'm going to have.
What do you do with the 43? Did you have an emergencies list that you didn't have a few emergencies?
I don't know what I do with this now. But okay, so now let's go. We'll go to Caulfield, race 6. Caulfield race 6. I'm going to have to increase my bet here. Caulfield race 6. I'll have 65 the win on number 1, Scissor Step. I think there's a little bit too much between him and Clemenceau in the market at this stage. He's been outstanding in his 2 runs back from a spell. Last start, he did everything he could to pick up the leader in a really slowly run race, but he just ran out of room. Steps up to 1,200 metres. He's going to need a touch of luck on the corner because he's drawn the inside at Caulfield, but I think he is a touch of overs. So 65 the win on Scissor Step, and then I'm going back to Gosford, and I'm going to have Gosford race 6. I'm going to be having 35 the win on Galaxy Bell. There's $10.20 available with her for Boom Bet. I think she's going to be hard to beat, actually. She's 49 days between runs. She had a little tick over trial in between. She bolted in over this trip last preparation, and last start when we saw her, she got really far back in a fast race, and she never really came into it. That's why she's been given a freshen up. But she started $4.80 in Group 3 company, and now she's back to BM 72 grade, and she probably should have won one day in benchmark 88 grade last preparation over 2,000 meters. So I reckon there's a bit of value in her. I reckon that residual fitness is going to come to the floor, and she's going to be right in the finish at about $10. So we'll have 35 to win on her. So that's Gosford race 6, number 3, Galaxy Bell, Pat.
Well played, lad. Well split up.
Thank you, mate. Now we're moving on to my Blake book.
Just got there. The Blake book.
Yeah, apologies because Woodhead's not here this week, so we don't have any of the cool intros. But I think that was actually even better than the one that that Woodhead puts in, Pat. So you can do that every week from now on.
Well, it is my karaoke song.
The X-Files.
The X-Files theme.
Yes, we know. All right, Blake book. We are going to Zoo Lover. So put this horse in your black book on the, when was it? It was on the 26th of the 4th. So last week at Nowra, he went like an absolute jet. It was on a heavy 10. He walked in front, but his last 600 meters or last 400 meters in particular is that of a very, very good horse. He's engaged on Sunday with Blake Spriggs booked. He's one of Matthew Smith's, and he is going to be very hard to beat wherever he goes, and that's at Nowra. So no markets up for that race yet, but gee, I'd be putting him in your black book and
that'll be going in tips and slips, won't it?
It'll be going in tips and slips for sure.
Tips and slips. All right, buddy. Why don't we move on to the overs and unders?
Yeah, let's do it.
What's the overs and unders theme song?
I don't know. I don't think we got one yet.
I'll rip straight into it. First one I've got for you, Gosford Race 5, number 14, Hammer On.
Okay, well, this horse,
currently $4.
I don't think that's not available anymore. It's a little bit annoying because they've just Alias has just come out. So he's going to be much shorter than that. But he went up $7 the other day in a much easier race than this. And they backed him into $1.50 or something along those lines, well into the red. And he didn't get the job done. Main stage beat him off. They've whacked the blinkers on him here. And there is no possible way I can get him as short as he currently is in the market. So I think he's going to be a drifter, Pat.
Drifter? So Hammer On drift. Well, what about Caulfield Race 6, number 2, Clemenceau? You're betting against it, so I'm guessing that you're going to say it'll blow.
Yeah, I think he'll get out of the market. Not too much. I still have him marked favourite, but I can't get him as short as he currently is. He's odds on with some places. He was outstanding first up, but very similar late sectionals to Scissor Step. So I think getting to 1,200 metres, no problems, but I can't get him any shorter than $2.50. So I think he drifts out to about that price. So if you like him, I'd be waiting until on the day I think he'll get out in the market.
Wait till the death. Just let me mark to the death. Okay, what about, I've got one more for you. Caulfield Race 7, number 8, Uncle Bryn is another one that I want to have a little bit of an attack at.
All right, Caulfield Race 7, number 8, Uncle Bryn. Very good horse in the making and form around him's very good. He bolted in the other day, but I can't get him anywhere near that price. So it's a bit of the same thing here. I reckon he drifts. I think he could get well out in the market. I think he starts somewhere between $2.50 and $3. So keep your powder dry, Pat, and you'll be getting a better price about him.
Don't attack.
Don't attack until late. Attack late.
Attack late. Attack late. Attack
yeah,
late.
Right.
Okay, I've got it. Attack late.
All right. Well,
mate, that's all I had for you.
That's it. That's the end of the podcast. How do you reckon we went without Woodhead?
Mate, I reckon we rushed through it. Is that because your remaining meeting time is 1 minute?
Yeah, we got 1 minute and 9 seconds to wrap this up.
Oh, 1 minute and 9. That's an Everest.
There's plenty of time. Plenty of time. It's. I think 1 minute and 9 for Everest. They actually fly in that race. So.
Do you know what? If someone in the comments can tell me where Honey Creeper's gone, I didn't realise it had come out.
Let him know. Let us know in the comments.
Have a great weekend on the punt, lad. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, punters. Thanks, Pat. Have a great week. Hopefully, we can get back in the winner's stall in the $100 strategy.
See you, mate.
See you, mate.